Welcome, everyone. It's Ardina Ferrin with Commercial Vehicle Business Network. I'm here today with Bill Schankel, CEO of NAFA, and we will be talking about the upcoming Institute Expo, as well as NAFA and its work within the industry. Thanks, Bill. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem. To start, Bill, could you please share a bit about your journey within NAFA, from starting as Chief of Staff to now interim CEO? What aspects of the organization and its work do you think resonates most with you?
Sure. So the one thing that I love NAFA. I joined back in 2017, was in the Chief of Staff role, moved into an interim role, and then became CEO of NAFA in May of 2020, and it's been a great experience for me. I really do appreciate the people. Our members are some of the greatest, most open and willing to share solutions that I've ever been a part of. I've been a part of a lot of different associations and organizations, and our members, which are now 3,400 strong across North America, are again some of the most willing to share their knowledge. It was great for me to be able to come in and be part of the fleet industry. It's such an important part of everyday life of everybody in every community, from the services you receive from government agencies to public safety to educational fleets, to the commercial fleets that serve in everything from deliveries to utilities to ensuring sales, to ensuring business keeps moving. So it's such an important role, and I'm happy to be part of NAFA to help serve that a lot of times unrecognized important fleet industry.
Right, and prior to our call, we touched a little bit about that. It's so niche and so unseen, but once you start opening your eyes to it, you realize that this is so vast within the sector and really powers so much of the economy. So thank you for all of the work that NAFA does.
It really does, yeah. And I appreciate our members. As we talked about, a lot of times, they're and our members will be the first to tell you that sometimes they feel like they're on an island out there, and NAFA's that organization that really helps connect all of those islands and really provide a voice for the industry, to the larger organizations, to government agencies, those types of things, but also to provide support within the industry to ensure that our members can be there for each other to help find solutions, address challenges, those types of things.
Right, much needed. NAFA has a rich history as the largest membership association for fleet professionals. Could you please elaborate more on the founding vision of NAFA and how the vision has evolved over the years?
Sure. So NAFA started back in 1957, so it's a long time ago. It's been around, and I know originally it was founded to help. At the time, it was National Association of Fleet Administrators. It was there to, similarly we talked about, to give a place for people that were managing automotive fleets to get together, to talk, to create a network of people that did this role. As it evolved, it became less around just the support and became more around education, credentialing, certification, those types of things. We've added in elements of legislative advocacy, some of the pieces that we're doing now from both federal and state level. And it's still, the nice thing about it is we didn't leave one of the elements out. We just kept adding on new elements and growing as an organization. So as it evolved, we really became around the how to do fleet, to ensure fleets are as efficient as possible, as sustainable as possible, and as safe as possible. And we just, we keep building programs for that. So it went from, originally what I'll say is a social support group almost for fleet administrators to now, a full-blown, in some cases, a curriculum for fleet professionals, as well as, continuing on with that support, as well as a voice for the industry to the larger communities that we need to communicate to about what fleet does.
Wonderful, thank you. And looking ahead, what is your vision for the future of NAFA?
So I think, with NAFA, we want to continue to grow and evolve. I mean, the fleet industry is in a time of transition. Change is always an important part of it, but as new technologies, new regulations, new ways that we need to train people start becoming more and more regular in every fleet professional's life. We want to continue to evolve to add new curriculum. We want to add new ways to train people. We also want to start looking to build the fleet industry as a career path. As a lot of our members will tell you, they kind of fell into fleet as an accident. Fleet found them. You'll hear people say a lot, versus them going out to find fleet. And it's a great career opportunity for people. So, we would love to build relationships with other groups so they understand the importance of fleet, as well as the opportunities that fleet provides to build a great career. So whether you're coming in from a technician side, from a maintenance shop to grow into fleet, that's a great opportunity. From an accounting or a finance side, from an operation side, even from an IT side, you can grow in and manage a fleet. So we want to really build that out there. I mean, we're facing a lot of organizations are facing some shortages in the future from staffing perspectives, both from technicians, but as well as from fleet professionals. So we want to continue to reach out and build relationships with other groups, so they look at fleet as a real opportunity for careers and career growth. Additionally, we really want to. There's a lot of organizations. You mentioned we're the largest, which is we're very proud of that. But we also want to be sure that we work with the other niche organizations out there that work on specific areas of fleet, organizations that focus on specific things related to safety or sustainability, organizations that their members, that they may not be directly involved in fleet, but their members all have large fleets. So one of the visions we have for NAFA is how do we build for lack of a better term, a big tent where more organizations can start collaborating with us, build on the foundational knowledge that we have, but also add some of their value of their specific niche research, their niche training, things like that, that they offer for our members. So we really want to make the whole industry more efficient, safer, and sustainable, not just our members, but the whole industry. So how do we start working with some of these other groups to expand that reach and understand what the fleet is, and give everybody, there's enough training and knowledge that's out there that we can't do it all. So we want to make sure we build great collaborations with some of these other groups.
It's wonderful to hear you say that, because I'm really proud of the commercial automotive sector, because it's one of the few sectors that I've been a part of where, even though we're all in this ecosystem together, we're all building the future together. It's not you versus me. There's so much relationship building and connectivity between all parts of the sector that's so supportive. So it's wonderful to hear you say that as well.
Yeah, no, we feel it's very important. I mean, there's going to be so many, there's so much opportunity out there, and if we make, if everybody else makes their fleet more efficient or safer, that makes every other fleet more efficient and safer. So it builds on itself, and we just need to continue to work on that collaboration. I mentioned earlier that it's been great to be part of this organization for almost 10 years now, because our members are so open to collaborating. They're thrilled to share their knowledge. They're thrilled to share their findings, how they solved the problem, and that's an important part of what the value of NAFA brings. And I think if we can share that out to other groups as well, it only helps the whole industry throughout North America. So
yeah, I wholeheartedly agree. So very, very heartwarming for me to hear that, because I've been well invested into the industry for some time now too, and that's what it takes for all of us to grow, for technology to develop more efficiently, even better for our end users, for anybody who touches any product within commercial automotive. It's working together. Right. You touched a bit about the diverse range of professionals and organizations within the ecosystem itself and who are NAFA members. What are some benefits and resources that NAFA offers to their members?
Sure. So we offer, we do a lot of focus on training, but it's really that the networking is a big part of it. So we offer, this year we're going to have over 100 local networking groups that are going to go, throughout North America to specific, cities and areas. A lot of those are hosted at fleet facilities or supplier facilities, which is great that they share those. So it's a chance for members to get together on a local level. We continue to offer our, educational resources. We have a lot of free webinars. We have a lot of free resources online. Our online discussion board is a great place and continues to be active. There's hundreds of conversations happening there every day where people will post a simple question from, and it can go everything from a in-depth question related to rebates or a legislative question to a safety question to a driver training to, a telematics question. And it's great because people are very open to answering those questions. So that's, one of the biggest benefits we have there is go there. If you have a question, it's more than likely has been asked, or if you ask it, you'll more than likely get 10 responses within an hour from our members. So that's a great opportunity. I mentioned the legislative advocacy we do. We continue to monitor and look at legislative issues both on the federal and state level. We try to educate state legislators, federal legislators, regulators on practical solutions for what's needed in fleet. So, we bring those individuals out to our fleet facilities. That's something that we really feel helps to benefit the fleet industry. So as new regulations, new legislation is written, we want to be sure that, the fleet professionals were there. If it's going to impact fleets, we want to make sure that fleet professionals were on the front line and had the opportunity to comment on that prior to something being passed that our fleets couldn't keep up with or couldn't fulfill a mandate on. So we're, that's a big role of what we do too as well, to make sure we're out there and speaking on behalf of the fleets and getting our fleet professionals in front of the key regulators, key legislators in their state or federal level. So that's an important piece of what we do. Our certified automotive fleet managers certification continues to be the kind of the foundational certification for the industry. So that's something that, we highly encourage people, if they want to make fleet a career, to look at. It's based on eight basic, 8 modules that cover the gamut of what you need to do to have an efficient fleet. So that's a very important program we do. And we have a lot of resources to help people get through that program, through the training modules, through office hours, through study guides, through guidebooks, all of those pieces. So that's another big benefit. And then we just do a lot of other education. So we're going to I&E, which you mentioned, our Institute Expo, which will be happening in a few days here. So we're getting ready for that in Long Beach, which is a great opportunity. Over 2,000 fleet professionals from all over North America and the world actually coming together for 40 plus educational sessions, over 200 exhibitors, really a chance for the fleet to come together as one for a few days and learn from each other. That's a huge benefit we give. And then we do a lot of other events. So we're doing a safety symposium coming up in June to talk about our new safety certificate, to ensure we work on that. We do things like policy workshops, and we have sample policies. So those are all big benefits we do. Another thing we're very proud of is our 100 Best Awards program. We mentioned a little bit that a lot of times fleets are unrecognized, that people don't think of fleets. The 100 Best Awards program was started over 20 years ago by a gentleman named Tom Johnson. He created it intentionally to recognize fleets that are doing a great job. We've taken that program and continue to grow it and really recognize the top fleets in North America for what they do and how they do it, and continually to put out research related to that. Here's the top 5 things that those fleets are doing that make them a top fleet. So there's learnings from that, but also more importantly, we're recognizing fleet professionals who are keeping the economy moving and everything they do, keeping government services going. So I'm very proud of that program as well.
Wonderful to hear. Thank you. You brought up some regulatory, you brought up regulations, and over the past few years, we've been presented with various economic headways, COVID, various regulations like emissions, and now tariffs. From your vantage point, when looking at tariffs specifically, what are some ways what are some of the most significant ways that are, oh golly, sorry.
No, that's fine.
what are some of the most significant ways that tariffs are affecting NAFA members and their operations?
So I think, there's, as we're going through the tariff, the new tariffs that were announced and such, I mean, there's still some uncertainty, some unknowns, but it certainly puts some pressure on our fleets to really understand, where their budget may fall, what they have to look at from both new vehicles to just parts and how that'll impact them. So I think, it's something that, and we go back to when I mentioned our CAFM, asset management, maintenance management, risk, fuel, all things in there are, come down to, bottom line dollar of how can you make, assets last longer if needed. So I think there's a lot of planning that our fleet managers are going to have to do once they start understanding more the impact of what the cost of new vehicles may be, cost of used vehicles may be with the tariffs, cost of parts, and that's the one great thing about our members. They'll help share that information with each other. But it really comes down to that planning process of, how do I ensure if I'm not going to be able to buy as many vehicles this year because of an increased cost and budget constraints and or parts, how do I ensure I'm still running my fleet as efficiently as possible without impacting the bottom line of the organization or the services delivered by the organization. So it's really going to come down once we know the full impact is, how do you best plan this out? How do you best, look at your assets that you currently have? Which ones, do you need to ensure get the new parts, and how do you manage that inventory? And our members have been through it over the last few years, as you said, through COVID and supply chain issues, through there were some tariffs, pre-COVID again put into place, and members have done a great job handling that. Our members, as we said, they're the top fleet professionals that there are. So they'll look at this, and a lot of times, the one thing that I think is key for them is they have to explain to, as I mentioned, they're in an island, so they're the ones that are going to understand the impact more than anybody. So I think, the other thing is too, is they're going to have to tell that story of, why they may or may not be able to get X number of new vehicles, or why they have to take perhaps some vehicles maybe out of service for a little bit until parts come in. But so they understand all that. They're great at managing that, and I think they'll continue to stay on top of it. And what we do from a NAFA perspective is just continue to educate them on, the latest news, from what the tariff impact will be on a federal level, what local, state impacts would be, if any. Look for opportunities for funding, rebates, things like that. So that's the important role that NAFA plays in that, is just continuing to educate the members for the tools that are out there, as well as for the news we have that'll help them better plan.
And outside of proactive strategies like planning, what other strategies or approaches have you observed among NAFA members in navigating the impacts of tariffs and other economic factors?
I think a lot. I mean, the planning's a big role. I mean, we have seen, in the past, it has impacted, parts. So it comes down in some cases to, how you maintain a vehicle, what you need to do from keeping vehicles in rotation, those types of things. It's some of it's going to come down to, what your budget cycle is too. So in some cases, if you're able to, if your budget cycle is going to come slightly after when the tariff impact will start, you can build that in. So it may not have as huge an impact. In some cases, it's going to be, sort of piecemealing solutions together through that next budget cycle. And I think, an important part is just continually to talk to their management and their leadership, whether that be in a government arena, talking to your higher ups from your council or whoever you need to talk to, perhaps from a municipality level, to your leadership in a corporate side of things. Say, here's the impact of what this may or may not have on us. We have to look at budgeting and what needs to happen. So I think those are a lot of it. I mean, in some cases, there's not a lot they can do from adjusting to that, other than just really planning and looking for, to budget accordingly in the next cycle, when that becomes available.
You spoke specifically about resources, education, and advocacy efforts for your members. What specific initiatives and advocacy efforts has NAFA taken to help their members?
Sure. So we've done a lot on a state level in California. So getting some bipartisan support recently on related to the CARB and ACF in California. So we've done a lot, and this is kudos to a lot of our members in California. They've done a great job of getting out in front of this, getting out in front of the state representatives out there that needed to understand the impact of what fleet would do. Again, we're looking for practical solutions there. So, one thing we did there is kind of build a bipartisan solution that continued to move through the state house in California to really, to build a fleet advisory group that can comment on some of this new regulation. Look for ways to build common sense solutions to this. I mean, NAFA's not against or not for one type of solution long term. I mean, obviously we want to continue to run sustainable fleets, cleaner fleets. That's an important aspect of what we do. We want to do it in a common sense, practical way. So we put together a lot of our members in California that were able to talk to the state representatives out there, have them come visit their facilities to really understand the types of vehicles they have, the limitations they have to in transitioning to all electric vehicles, and how long things would take. So not looking to necessarily say no to anything, but just saying, here's some practical solutions that we see. So we've, one of the biggest, what I'll say is a win for NAFA is giving our members a voice and literally having them speak to the legislators and regulators in their state, and having them go out. And I give a lot of kudos to our legislative council. We have a legislative council that goes around and works on this with our members. They put together some great coalitions with other groups. Again, we're not going it alone, and put together some great representation from our memberships in each of these different areas to really be the voice of a practical common sense solution on moving forward with in this case I'm talking about is CARB and the ACF out in California.
Awesome, thank you. So it seems like you guys support a lot of education and advocacy for all of your members. Going back to a more boiling point in general, what are some key challenges and pain points that NAFA members consistently face?
So I think our members, what right now, I mean, a lot of what we're hearing is there's some of it comes down to the cost and difficulty getting vehicles and their parts, what you hear across the board. I think one of the big things, so we talked a lot about that and through some of the other conversations, but I think one of the biggest things we're hearing is obviously the technician shortage. That's a big one. So getting the people trained and up to speed, and hiring technicians, that's certainly been a challenge for our members. And that's one of the things where I talked about earlier is we really want to build kind of a career succession plan. So we're working with technical schools around the country to see if we can get our members engaged with them to not only hopefully build some mentorship / internship programs with technical schools to get technicians out into their shops to start learning within a fleet facility, but also for those technicians understand, like once you get out into that shop, after a few years, you can move into this fleet role as a fleet professional to manage the whole fleet. So that's certainly a big one that I think our members continually deal with. I think, as the fleet industry continues to transition and update and some of the newest technologies, I mean, there's always challenges of what's the best way to use some of the new technologies, some different telematics. So, we work and we have a lot of great members that are suppliers that are in each of these fields, from telematics companies to the OEMs, to all these different groups are members of us as well. So they actually, share their knowledge and experience as well. Another big one is obviously to ensuring your policies stay up to date as technology changes, as regulations change, how do you make sure your policies stay as a living document and can stay up to date and not something that's collecting dust on the shelf? So fleet policy is very important for us. Driver safety is another big one. So I mean, we want to be efficient and sustainable, but more importantly, we want to make sure we have safe fleets out there. So we're really, I think that's a big challenge of how do you ensure that the fleets are using the technology available to them from a safety side of things, as well as how do you ensure you're training your drivers, you're monitoring your drivers, you're looking at any potential risks. So that's important. I think that's always going to be a challenge as well.
And as far as day-to-day operations, considering challenges that your members might be facing, or any fleet professional might be facing, what tools or resources do you think fleet professionals, NAFA members might be seeking to help improve efficiency, reduce cost, enhance sustainability, and make informed decisions?
So I think a lot of what we see our members asking for is a lot of it comes back to the policies and procedures. So how and NAFA has a lot of those kind of sample that we can share, our members can share. So how do you build this program? A lot of it comes down to internal training. What are the best ways to train people internally, whether it be on a new technology or a complete policy or your driver training? So a lot of what NAFA does, and through our webinars, through our training, through our resources, is provide them with either samples that they can use and build within their own organization from a policy perspective, or we provide knowledge on how do you build your own policy within this organization. And then more importantly, we also provide access to 3,400 other members that you can ask, say, I need specifics on this, how you do this. I think from a safety perspective, we're going to build out more and more content related to safety. So I think that's something that you'll see more and more of coming out of NAFA. So we're going to have their safety certificate coming up soon, which is really going to be around building a safety culture within your fleet organization. Covers all aspects from kind of training your driver to ensuring your policies are in line, to understanding the technology out there that can help ensure your fleet is safe.
Knowing this, what plans do you and NAFA have to address the needs? I know you just explained most of that with initiatives and education that's coming out for safety regulations. But what else might be on the horizon for fleet professionals to look forward to?
So we are looking to, we're looking to collaborate with some more groups to ensure we can get, some, a broader voices involved. So looking at some groups to get involved from the technician side, we're having a conversation with them, looking to get some more data from a safety perspective. So it's not just, we have a lot of anecdotal data, but how do we get some more safety benchmarks together? Those are things that I think over the course of the next year or two we'll have NAFA members will have a lot more access to. We want to continue to look at ways to engage younger, whether they're technicians or younger people, to look at fleet as a career. So we actually just announced a strategic philanthropic alliance with the Hourglass Foundation, which gives scholarships out to some underrepresented areas for people interested in the automotive trades. So we're looking to get involved in groups like that as well to continue to build out a pipeline of fleet professionals for future years. We've recently updated some of our governance so we can get our fleet supplier members more involved. So we want to hear from fleet suppliers, and there's a lot of great thought leadership among our supplier members. So we want to make sure we're engaging them to give them an opportunity to help train our fleet professional members. So I think you'll see some more collaborations with some of those fleet suppliers as well. We have our Fleet Solutions magazine, which continues to grow. And so I think that's going to, we'll keep looking at, educational content that's going to really help members there too. So those are just some of the initiatives we have. There's a lot going on. Our board, we have a board of 13 volunteer members who dedicate a lot of time and energy to NAFA. Their day jobs are all about fleet. So we appreciate the time they give to NAFA, but they really help drive our strategic direction, and they always have a lot of great ideas. So there's constantly new things on the horizon.
I love hearing that. From my experience, especially in commercial automotive, when you think about the grand scheme of the automotive sector, hearing that you are partnering with underserved populations and really putting forth the effort to continue the growth of fleet managers, it's wonderful to hear, because how do you get the next cohort going if they don't know it exists?
And that's really important. I mean, the collaboration, I think, is going to be very important to us, and that's something we continue to build with. I mentioned our local networking groups and our regions. We have 8 regions that are run by, again, volunteers that work in the fleet industry, that are regional councils. But that's led to a lot of great collaborations with other groups to bring new people in that weren't maybe as familiar with the fleet industry. So as they meet people in their local area or they're part of other organizations within their local area, their local region, we've had a lot of collaborative events where NAFA and other groups have run, local events together. So it's building that cohort of knowledge that we can get and looking for ways to get younger people involved. So those local groups have also led us to hold events at trade schools and technical community colleges and universities. So again, it's constantly getting people involved to understand fleet is out there, fleet is the industry. It's something you may not think about in your everyday life, but it's extremely important to the whole economy and to our public safety. I mean, you name it, fleet's important.
Right. I'm excited to see and learn more about how, what comes about with that, because in my career, I always saw that and think it's incredibly important to get the word out, let people know that this exists. And once they know it exists, then they can dig down within themselves and figure out, this is for me. So it's wonderful to hear.
And that's really what we're trying to do. Within organizations too, we're encouraging, some of the kind of expanded the opportunities for our membership. So it's, go beyond the non-traditional fleet professionals and say, if you have other people in your organization that touch fleet, you become part of NAFA, join NAFA. So from your operational side, from your finance side, from your IT side, wherever it may be, they all touch fleet to some degree. So get them involved so they start understanding the impact as well. Even if it's not going to be their full-time day job, it's important that they understand the importance of it, and it just helps to support the person that is their primary responsibility is fleet. So that's another area where we're really hoping to get more people involved that way as well.
Love to hear it. So the NAFA Expo is right around the corner. It's a significant event for the fleet industry. What are some key themes, topics, and opportunities that attendees can look forward to at this year's event?
Sure. So we have, so this year our theme is actually, propel the fleet industry forward, and that's really what we're looking to do. So we have a lot of great sessions. The best thing about our sessions, there's over 40 sessions that we have. They're all, they're basically all put together by NAFA, by industry professionals. They've been evaluated by professionals, so you really know you're getting the best of the best. These are the topics that were highest rated among NAFA members who looked at these the submissions. They understand these are things that are important, so you're really getting some of the hottest topics out there that you need through our sessions, and it's all going to be presented by your peers, which is another great thing. We have over 200 exhibitors, so we have an innovation showcase, so we have several exhibitors going to be launching and talking about new products and services that they're going to announce. So that's another great opportunity. We have a very interactive expo hall this year. We have a indoor test track, so we're going to have several different electric vehicles going during the expo hall this year that people can experience those EVs on the show floor. And talk about the whole electric vehicle ecosystem with those individuals, as well as Inspiration Fleet, which is sponsoring that area. We have a ride and drive happening after on the last day. It's going to happen as soon as the expo hall closes on Wednesday. The ride and drive will happen so people can actually go and ride vehicles we have out there. So that's something we're very excited about. it's a great opportunity again to network. I mean, like I said, we're going to have well over 2,000 people there for 3 days in one place, best and the brightest of fleets. So it's a great opportunity to talk and engage and really get to know your fellow fleet professionals and find a lot of solutions and innovations you may not have known about before you got to Long Beach. So what I always say is, everybody should be able at least to learn one thing at INE, and I think this year we'll be able to learn a lot more. So.
Oh yeah, I mean, for anybody who may or may not have attended an expo, there's so much to see and so much to learn, and sometimes you could get sidetracked with what your original hopes were for the show because there's just so much to do and experience and to learn. So what would be your key piece of advice for an attendee to get the most value out of their experience?
So I think, when you go there, I mean, definitely try to engage. I mean, we've set it up as interactive as possible. So I know, sometimes people may go there and it can be a little intimidating and overwhelming to have that many people in one place at one time. But our members that are there, and I tell our members that have been there several years, one of the things I tell them is, go out and reach out to a new person that you may not know. So when I say learn one thing, that could be you learn the name of one of your new peers that might be in another part of the country. So definitely, don't be afraid to engage others. Don't be afraid to get involved. Ask questions. Sit with somebody new at a lunch table or a breakfast event and ask questions, because you're going to learn a lot from the people on the stages at the session, but you're going to learn just as much from the people sitting next to you in a lot of those sessions. So I think that's the big thing, is if you want to get the most out of and engage in the expo hall too. Make sure you talk to the exhibitors. Make sure you go ask them questions. Everybody there is their whole point of being there is they want to make the fleet industry better. So make sure you talk to them, get to know them. So say hi to people you don't know, ask questions, come ready with your questions. But that's really the big thing. I mean, you can obviously get through without talking to people if you don't want to, but I do encourage you to engage as many people as possible, because it really makes the event even better.
Right. And I mean, the other people around you, they're the people in the seat with you. So getting to hear their perspective, their experience, what works for them, what doesn't, I think is a wealth of knowledge to give yourself the opportunity to tap into. Yeah,
exactly. I mean, they're the community. And as I said, they put the content together. They're the ones presenting the content. So a lot of them, may have been up on one of those stages prior years, or will be up there in future years. So, I mean, just keep asking the questions and get involved. And we have our NAFA staff there as well. So I highly encourage people that maybe aren't as involved in NAFA, come find any of our staff that's there, talk to them ways you can get involved, talk to ways, what's the best way they can benefit from investing in NAFA in themselves, volunteer, look for opportunities to get them involved from a volunteer perspective. So, come find any of our NAFA members or any NAFA volunteers from our board to our councils, to our committees. We're happy to talk to people too about how they can get more involved in NAFA and find ways to give back to the industry if that's something they're interested in.
It really does sound like the NAFA organization is so collaborative, so communicative. It sounds like there's so much coming both from the members and the board to progress fleet professionals forward in their careers. Is there anything else you'd like to highlight about NAFA or the upcoming expo for our audience?
I just, as you said, I think, NAFA's, we're looking to continue, the industry is continuing to evolve. We want to continue to evolve with it. So we are open to ideas, suggestions, feedback. I mean, we're not the perfect organization. We're trying, we'll never will be, but we're trying to do as much as we can to add value. So I would just encourage, either at INE next week or at just in NAFA in general, reach out to us if there's ideas, if there's things that we can do to help make the fleet industry better. Reach out. I mean, there's not a guarantee we can do everything people ask, but we'll certainly try to impact it as much as we can.
Thank you for the time, Bill. You have shared so much wonderful information with our audience. Like we've said before, not much comes out regarding fleet or, information about it. So thanks for all of the knowledge that you shared with our audience for them to know that fleet exists and fleet is here.
Absolutely. Thank you for the time. I appreciate the opportunity.